Hello, I'm Carrie Anderson, the niece of Dr. David L. Anderson, also affectionately known as Doc Anderson. It's said that a great man really does not pass away. Only his body departs from this earth. His memory lives on in the children that he fathered, in the causes that he championed, and in the way he brought love and joy to the people around him. It's these memories and achievements that will last for generation to generation, creating what we know as a legacy. For you see, Dr. David L. Anderson is one of those types of men whose impact on the world will be forever permanent and a standard for those who had the opportunity to know him. We are truly grateful to God for his life and the celebration that we can now share in and celebrating the full measure of this man. For you see, without Dr. David L. Anderson, simply, many of us would not be where we are today. I invite you now to join me as we listen to the stories and the memories shared by prominent members in our community as they shared the lasting impacts Dr. David L. Anderson had on their lives.
David was the voice for employees, for families, and for students that have no power or voice. You just learned. If David is stepping up for someone that you don't know that is in front of the board with the problem or issue, that we need to understand it. And that usually following David's lead on those is the right way to make sure that the community that doesn't have a voice could have their needs taken care of.
Well, I think he encouraged everybody to be the best person that they could be. And to that end, I think he set a sort of a moral compass for our school board as we work together. And I can remember many times when the employees would come, he took the time. David was a good listener. And when he listened to these people, in his heart, he was very passionate about his employees, as he would call them, and the community in general.
He was fierce about advocating for those who needed that advocacy and being there to represent those individuals. And with David, everything went back to his family, his faith, his community. And I think even when he left Martin County High School as a teacher and went into Indian River State College, he worked his way up the ladder and became vice president of student affairs. And I think he was really in the position that he needed to be in, like you said, Tony, for those students that needed a voice.
At Indian River, student success is the most important thing at the college. And no one exemplified that more than Dr. David Anderson. He was so passionate about students. He was definitely their advocate, but wow, what an outstanding disciplinarian. But they knew that he was their advocate and he believed in them. And he always taught them through his discipline, things that would stay with them the rest of their lives. And I know this to be a fact because students have come back and said so. Dr. Anderson showed me the importance of showing up for people. Showing up for causes, for organizations, for things that you care deeply about, that you have to show up. He showed up in his extensive service to the community, his many years on the school board, his experience on community boards, his service to his church, his many years of service to Indian River Community College. He served because I believe he felt it was his way to give back. He talked often about his many blessings. We talked together about our many blessings. And so I think back to remembering that it seemed like that was his way to give back because he absolutely lived with gratitude. Dr. Anderson was very loyal. Likewise, he appreciated loyalty in others, and he never forgot those who showed up for him.
David was one of the most professional. He was such a fair person. Many times when I was in personnel, David would call me and he had had a complaint about someone that they didn't get a job. Usually it was about a job. And he had always say to me, Franny, go get the folders. Don't tell me their names, just tell me one's A and one's B. He would ask all the questions about A and all the questions about B. And then he would say to me, so-and-so should have gotten the job. And I said, they did. And David was always like that. He wanted to make sure everybody got a fair chance. And believe me, he lived every day to see that that happened.
Go back with me, if you will, to 1965. I was an 8th grade student at Murray Junior Senior High School. Dr. David at that time was Mr. David Anderson, as we called him. He was my 8th grade social studies teacher. And oh my goodness, what a great teacher he was. He treated us as if we were college students, greeting us as Mr. or Miss. He always had great expectations for his students. And to that end, when you entered his classroom, the map was always in the down position, because you never knew if there was a pop quiz hiding behind that map. That was my first introduction to Mr. David Anderson. And as he moved up through the ranks in this county and went on to Indian River Community College, now Indian River State College, and then to serve on the Martin County School Board, he became a mentor of sorts. Once he became a school board member, we really saw what Dr. David had to offer, not just to the students and the school district of Martin County, but to the community. I remember him being referred to as the elder statesman, and that's what he was. Truly, he was the elder statesman of the Martin County School District.
I looked at Dr. Anderson as a young person of a multi-generation. His dad, that was a great impact in his life. His dad was one of an earlier generation. Fortunately, not many of us know and live through. But David lived through that and lived on every word his dad. He believed in the things his dad said. He believed in doing the things his dad wanted him to do. His dad preached constantly that he should have courage, have honor, be honest, be truthful, but in all, always leave something better than the way you found it. And David moved on to his generation. He took advantage of every opportunity he could. He was very successful in what he did. And he had a big impact on that generation. But it really didn't stop there, because Dr. Anderson thought about the generations of the future. He was concerned about his children and his grandchildren, and rightly so. And so when he made policy, worked with his grandchildren and his community, he made sure the future would remember Dr. Anderson, but more importantly, some of the more important things that they needed to do in order to make Martin County a very beautiful place to live.
I would often go out in the afternoon and hung around with him. And I remember distinctly one night he asked me, "What time is it?" With him being busy, just with his back to me and to the clock, I stuttered around a minute, and he realized that I couldn't tell time. He took 10 minutes and taught me to read a clock. I was amazed that I watched this clock all my life and didn't really know how to read it, but he taught me in 10 minutes. And with my profession as a builder, I was often asked to render my services for less of a price because I felt like the client was asking me to work for less because I was considered inferior. So I delivered an inferior product. But watching Doc go through the things that he went through and never grumbled, but never bit his tongue either when he thought somebody was getting out of hand, I learned to tell people, you may beat my price, but you will not beat the job.
We've asked those who shared with us today to simply describe for us in one word what Doc or David Dr. L. Anderson meant to them.
So I end up with 2 words. He was my soul brother. He was.
If I could describe David in one word, I would use the word legend, because David was a legend here in Martin County.
I would describe him as a lion. He fiercely defended his friends, his family, and the community.
If I were to describe Dr. David Anderson with one word, it would be authentic. Dr. Anderson was the real deal. It wasn't in words. It wasn't in things that he wanted other people to notice. He was the real deal no matter who was there, no matter what was going on. He was going to bring it, and he was going to be straight up with how he felt, what he thought, and people knew that his wisdom and his expertise and his insights would make a huge difference.
Determined and dedicated, because he was truly a dedicated servant of the Martin County School District, dedicated to his family, to his church, and as I said, to his community.
I think if you had to say one word about Dr. Anderson, and there are too many that come into mind, but he absolutely was a multi-generational individual.
Actually, 2 words. David was intensely loyal and very fair.
Loyal. He was the most loyal person you would ever want to have company with.
Doc was loving, caring, direct, and he meant what he said and said what he meant. The lyrics to this song simply say, if I can help somebody as I travel along this way, if I can help somebody with a word or a song, if I can help somebody from simply doing wrong, then my living will not be in vain. As we remember the life of this servant leader, we will forever be grateful for the life he lived, grateful for his remarkable leadership, and grateful for his commitment to ensuring to see that everyone had a chance to succeed. Thank you, Doc, for blazing a trail in which so many others may now follow, and for leaving us with such a rich legacy. Until we meet again, good night.